Good morning. Happy New Year. It is definitely a pleasure to be here today. I see everybody's had their coffee. I'm Bill Thompson, and I'm the chairperson of the Board of Trustees for the City University of New York. Before we get started, it says here I'd like to recognize a few special guests. We have a number of special guests that I'm going to acknowledge, so bear with me for about 2 minutes. In no specific order, State Senator Michael Gianaris, Assemblyman David Weprin, City Council Majority Leader Jimmy Van Bramer, City Council Member Barry Grodenchik, City Council Member Peter Koo, City Council Member Karen Koslowitz. I know I saw City Council Member Jimmy Vaca. Mario Salento, the President of New York State AFL-CIO. Barbara Bowen, the President of the Professional Staff Congress in CUNY. Arthur Chilotis, President, CWA Local 1180. Greg Floyd, the President of Teamsters Local 237. Definitely in the front row, Gary LaBarbera, President of the Building and Construction Trades Union of Greater New York. Mike McGuire, the Political Director of the Mason Tenders District Council. Steve McGinnis, the President of the New York City District Council of Carpenters. Earl Phillips, the Secretary-Treasurer of Transport Workers Union Local 100. John Skinner, the President of Local 46, Metallic Ladders. Okay. Where is Henry Garrido, the Executive Director of DC 37? Wayne Spencer, the President of New York State Public Employees Federation. Dennis Traynor, the Vice President of CWA District 1. Nancy Zimper, the Chancellor of SUNY. A couple of my colleagues, Sandra Wilkin from the City University Board of Trustees. Sandra. And right next to her, Myra Linares Garcia, the CUNY Board of Trustees. We are in the house of LaGuardia Community College. President Gail Mello. Joe Beltuck, SUNY Board of Trustees. Dennis Walcott, the President and CEO of the Queens Library. Roberta Reardon, the Commissioner of New York State Department of Labor. Where is the Budget Director and also member of the CUNY Board of Trustees, Robert Mojica? Jim Melantris, the Director of State Operations for the Governor. If you didn't get introduced, it's not my fault. Those are the names I was given. Let's also give a warm welcome. There's another gentleman on the stage, to Governor Andrew Cuomo, who is with us also. And I think you all know today we're going to hear from the governor and a very special guest, United States Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Okay. I don't understand why no one likes the senator. I just don't understand. Look, I think we all know that the value of public higher education across our state and nation cannot be underestimated. We are fortunate to have in New York two such prized university systems which have delivered quality education to our students for decades, CUNY and SUNY. Founded in the 1950s and 60s, SUNY and CUNY were established with the same aim, to provide a gateway to higher learning and a pathway to educational opportunity for all students, regardless of their backgrounds or economic standing. I like to point out, while I'm not a CUNY graduate, if it wasn't for CUNY, and my parents were both Brooklyn College graduates, if they hadn't met at Brooklyn College, I wouldn't be standing here now. But Brooklyn College, CUNY, public education was their ticket to the middle class. But the reality is that the exorbitant cost of tuition today at our public and private institutions has made the dream of higher education unattainable for too many strivers. Governor Cuomo and his administration have led the way forward by prioritizing higher education and investing more than $6.5 billion in SUNY and CUNY, an increase of nearly $1 billion since Governor Cuomo took office. From the nation-leading Get On Your Feet loan forgiveness program to providing more than $1 billion in tuition assistance program grants to eligible college students, he's instituted a number of reforms to deliver relief and ensure college remains affordable to New York's middle class. Today, higher education is not a privilege, but a right. As the proud chairperson of the City University of New York, I've seen firsthand the incredible talent, drive, and determination the students at our universities possess. It is our duty to ensure they have the resources to realize their dreams and unlock their full potential. We've made great strides under Governor Cuomo, but more must be done to ensure college remains within reach for everyone. I know that working together will build on the progress we have achieved and ensure that the future of New York's students remains bright. Please join me now in welcoming a man who gets things done, the leader of the state of New York, the 56th governor of New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. We are fired up this morning. First, let's give Bill Thompson, who's the chairman of CUNY and doing a great job. Let's give him a big round of applause. To all my colleagues in the Assembly, all my colleagues in the Senate, all my colleagues in the City Council who are here, let's give them a round of applause. And to our brothers and sisters from the labor movement who are in the House, thank you for being here. And to our special guest, Senator Sanders from Vermont through Brooklyn. Let's give him a round of applause. Now, for me, this is a special treat. This time of year, I do something called the State of the State. The State of the State is where the governor lays out the initiatives, the priorities for the coming year. And I'm doing it a little different this year. Rather than going up and giving one speech in Albany, I'm going all across the state and speaking to the people of the state about the issues that are important to them, and then we'll wind up in Albany. And this is the first issue that I want to address, And in many ways, I believe it is the most important issue that this state and this nation must address, which is higher education and the affordability of higher education. And that's why we're here today. I wanted to start in Queens because I am an old Queens boy. I went to work in Washington during the Clinton administration. I was there for 8 years. I would travel all across the country, and I'd be in some state, and I'd be speaking, and someone would come up to me afterwards, and they would say, "Is that a New York accent?" And I would say, no, that's a Queens accent, and I am proud of it. Now, when I was growing up, Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx, we had a little competition among us, especially with those Brooklyn boys. Both Bill Thompson and Bernie Sanders are Brooklyn boys. Competition was always between Queens and Brooklyn, who had the best sports teams, who had the coolest clubs, who dressed better. And I think Brooklyn was always a little jealous of Queens, I'll tell you the truth. I think what it was the ladies in Brooklyn really preferred the men from Queens, and that's what's really started. Do you agree with me? Yeah. But whether you were from Queens, or you were from Brooklyn, or you were from Bronx, or you were from Staten Island, you were from the outer boroughs. That's what they called it, the outer borough. And they never told you what the inner borough was. And I don't know that there is an inner borough, but you were from the outer borough. And that meant something, that you were from the outer borough. You were from Queens, you were from Brooklyn, it meant you were middle class. You were working men and women. You were new immigrants. And you were just starting. And you weren't rich, because if you were rich, you wouldn't be in the outer borough. You'd be in the inner borough and the inner circle. And you were from the outer boroughs, but that was okay. And it was okay because you believed in your heart that you could make it. That the way this country worked, the way this state worked, you could work your way up and you could get to that inner circle. And you could be as successful as anyone. And the great equalizer was the public education system. That with a public education, you could go from anywhere and wind up anything. You could be Mario Cuomo, my father, born to poor Italian immigrants in South Jamaica, Queens. And you could wind up governor of the state of New York, all from the public education system. And Mario Cuomo's story was repeated over and over and over again. Colin Powell from the Bronx winds up in the White House, all from the public education system. And that's what made it okay. And that's why you weren't angry, because the society promised mobility. And you could do better, and your children could do better. And those were the rules of the game. And then somewhere along the way, something changed. The economy changed, and the economy became more sophisticated, and now it wasn't enough just to go to a public school and a public high school and work hard, because now you needed real skills. When that economy changed from a manufacturing economy to a high-tech economy, it changed everything. Long Island City, this was all manufacturing businesses. This building was the Sunshine Biscuit Company. And you could come here and you could run a machine or you could drive a truck and you would be just fine. But those days are over. This economy, you need a college education if you're going to compete. We have 7.95 million jobs in this state today, more jobs than have ever existed in the history of the state of New York. That's the good news. The bad news is 70% of those jobs require a college education. 70%. And it is incredibly hard and getting harder to get a college education today. It is incredibly expensive, and the debt is so high, it's like starting a race with an anchor tied to your leg. Average college debt, $30,000 per student. Just think about that. And half the student debt in New York is higher than $30,000. That is not fair. That is not right. The rule of the game was everybody has a fair shot at success. That is America. And when you take that away, you take away the spirit and the values that made this country this country. And the truth is, if you want to offer everybody a fair shot, then you have to get up to date and you have to say what high school was 75 years ago, college is today. College is a mandatory step if you really want to be a success. And the way this society said, we're going to pay for high school because you need high school, this society should say, we're going to pay for college because you need college to be successful. And New York State is going to do something about it. And we're going to start this year the Excelsior Scholarship, which says very simply, free tuition to a state 2-year school or a 4-year school if you come from any family earning $125,000 or less. The state will provide free tuition. It's the first program It is. Thank you. It is going to be the first program like it in the United States of America. It's once again New York leading the way we did on raising the minimum wage, the way we did on paid family leave, the way we did on passing marriage equality, the way we did on gun safety, and it should be a wake-up call to this nation to say if you really want to be competitive globally, we have to have the best educated workforce, and that means we have to have college for every child, man or woman who wants to attend. Other countries have already done it. It's time this country catches up. It's time this country says to every citizen, you can be whatever you want to be in America. I don't care the color of your skin. I don't care your sexual identity. I don't care your zip code. I don't care how much money you have in your pocket. What this country says is we welcome you here to the family of America. We welcome you to the family of New York. And we're going to work with you to do better than ever before. And the sky is the limit. And however we can help you do well, we will, because your success is our success. That's the American dream. And the American dream lives in the state of New York, and no one is taking it away. And that's what this program is all about. Now, I have the good pleasure to introduce our special guest. Senator Sanders spoke for the middle class and the working men and women all across this nation and the issues that are important to them. He spoke to this issue of college affordability and was ahead of his time in doing it and really awoke the nation to this crisis of college affordability, and we all owe him a big thank you and round of applause for what he did. And let's give a big New York welcome to a Brooklyn boy, because you can take the boy out of Brooklyn, but you can't take Brooklyn out of the boy. Senator Bernie Sanders.
Governor Cuomo, thank you very much. As a graduate of PS 197 in Brooklyn, as a graduate of James Madison High School in Brooklyn, 1 year at Brooklyn College, I am delighted to be here this morning. I think Bill and Governor Cuomo have laid out the issue. And the issue is that at a time when we have a president-elect who thinks it's a great idea to give hundreds of billions of dollars in tax breaks to the top 0.2%, we have a better idea. And that idea is to make public colleges and universities tuition-free for every person in New York State, in Vermont, and in America. Governor Cuomo made the point, and it's a point I believe, having gone all over this country talking about this issue, that Democrats, Republicans, independents understand. And that is, the economy has changed, technology has changed, the global economy has changed. And if we are going to do justice to the working families of this country, to low-income families, if we are going to have an economy that creates the kinds of jobs that we need for our people, we must have the best educated workforce in the world. And here is a truth, which is an unpleasant truth, but it's a truth nonetheless. And that is 30 or so years ago, we had in this country the highest percentage of college graduates of any nation on earth. We were number one. Today, we are number 11. That is not what America is supposed to be about. And today, what Governor Cuomo is proposing is a revolutionary idea for higher education. And it's an idea that it's going to reverberate not only throughout the state of New York, but throughout this country. And what that idea is that it is basically insane to tell the young people of this country, we want you to go out and get the best education you can. We want you to get the jobs of the future. Oh, but by the way, after you leave school, you're going to be $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 in debt. You're going to graduate school, you're going to medical school, you're going to dental school, well, you may be a couple of $100,000 in debt. And you're going to have to spend decades paying off that debt. And if you don't pay off that debt, when you're old, they may garnish your Social Security payment to pay off that debt. Our job is to encourage every person in this country to get all of the education he or she can, not to punish them for getting that education. And even more importantly, what the governor's proposal is telling today the people of New York State, tomorrow the rest of the country, is something enormously profound. And that is, if you are a kid in Queens whose family, like my family, never had a whole lot of money, whose parents never went to college, who today does not believe that you will ever be able to get a college education, What today's message is about is if you are in the 4th or 5th grade, if you start studying hard, you will, in fact, be able to get the college education you need to make it to the middle class, regardless of the income of your family. That is revolutionary. That is a message that is going to provide hope and optimism for working class families all across the state. And here is a prediction that I make. In urging the New York State legislature to follow the governor's lead, to pass this legislation, here's my prediction. If New York State does it this year, mark my words, state after state will follow. And the day will come when we understand that public education in America is not simply kindergarten through high school, but that public education in the year 2017 means making public colleges and public universities tuition-free. Governor Cuomo, thank you so much. Thank you.
Two things. First, in my acknowledgments earlier, I overlooked an old friend of mine, somebody who happens to be one of the fighters for education in the state of New York, the chair of the New York State Assembly Education Committee and a fighter for education, Assemblyperson Kathy Nolan. Kathy, my apologies. Has today been a special day? Again, let us thank, and a round of applause first for our governor, Andrew Cuomo. For picking up the gauntlet, running with it, being able to see what the future is, and understanding that New York is the Empire State, and he is making sure we rise to higher heights each and every day. And again, to the man who had the vision originally, who spoke about this nationwide, and has helped to create days that hopefully will, after the governor has taken a step and moved New York State forward, hopefully the rest of the country will now follow the vision that Senator Bernie Sanders put forward originally. This day will go down. I believe that this day, this announcement, people will refer to this across the country for years to come as the day that America moved a step in the right direction. And thank you all so much. Thank you.